Hello guys, welcome to the studio. A quick little start painting tonight of a woody great painter. His name is David Hockney, British citizen, amazing painter, been around for a while. So this is David, and so we're gonna start. I just want to start on this one, just sketching it a little bit. So you're kind of used to it now. I'm pretty much starting with the, putting some colors on the background just to locate the big picture. So on this one, of course, he has his cap. That's gonna be pretty interesting because of the pattern of the cap. So we'll try to figure out how we can do such a complex pattern without, painting every single little detail. His chin is somewhere here. I'm using the negative space around his face to locate, the character is wearing, he's a pretty colorful painter, so no doubt he's wearing that beautiful tie. Same thing, just some color to block the paper. A little bit of a darker green on the other side. So I got some, some feedback from some people about those series. So, we did a little test the other day. Karen and I, so we both went to art school and, did all that kind of stuff. And so when we look at the painting, the portrait of those really famous artists, of course we know all of them. Either it's when I say all of them, I should be more, there's some artists that are less known than others. I'm talking about, for example, Ratchet Johnson or, these kind of people. But roughly, I would say that all of those paintings, all of the people I've chosen are, really prominent figure into the art world. But so we showed, we're on the phone with Karen's family, and we showed them the portraits, the painting, and we were asking them, do you know this one, this one? And we realized that, the only one they knew was the portrait of Picasso, which is not in the series. I've done a painting of it, and it's not, I didn't post the video because it took me too long. It took me about 3 hours to do the portrait of Picasso, so I decided not to put it in the videos because for that project I wanted to keep something pretty simple, pretty fast. I didn't want to get into something too time consuming, so you can pretty much paint with me and not spend too much time. So we realized that for us there's some painters obviously that we know and we think everybody knows them. I told Karen that on Instagram, I think it was on Instagram or maybe on YouTube, whatever, we post a video of the face of those people, and we post a photo of the painting of Frida Kahlo, and one of the comment was, who's that nobody? I don't want to sound, like, you're an artist, you go in galleries, you go, you educate yourself, you look at the artists and so on. So who are those people. But I completely understand that for some people, they're completely unknown, they're not any close to fame. If you show me photos of famous baseball player or something like this, I might not be much better than that gentleman with the portrait of Frida Kahlo. So you know, for the next series, I'm going to add a little bit of white. For the next series, I'm going to try to find something to paint that's going to be, because I mean, you know, you can paint somebody, you know, I don't mind painting people that are just, you know, just nobody, you know, but or somebody, but not someone famous. So maybe it's what I will do. Or maybe, you know, if you want to give me some ideas about, you know, what you would like me to paint, that could be fun as well. So you see, when I start painting like this, I always start with something really simple, just trying to put the big, you know, the big picture. It's pretty much the same thing if I paint a portrait, a much more complicated portrait, and spend much more time and so on. Pretty much start the same. Of course, there might be a little bit of difference, but roughly I would say that's how I start most of the time. The reason why I like to start like this, you know, really, you know, not a lot of information and just, you know, quick sketch and so on. There are several reasons. First reason, I like it, I enjoy it. When you're going to work on the portrait for hours and hours, there's going to be a moment where there's a lot of chance the pleasure is going to go a little bit behind you, and it's going to be more of a struggle because you know, doing portraiture is just a lot of work. There's nothing we can do about it. So for me, starting the painting has to be a place of joy, of pleasure, and so it's why I like to paint like this, because, you know, it reminds me a little bit of you know, when I was a plein air painter or something like this, when you don't have all that pressure about the likeness, about, you know, you're just playing with colors. And so I really want you to keep that in mind, you know, that it's important also to take in consideration the pleasure concept. You know, we're also here to create beautiful painting, but also to love doing it and trying not to get too much into frustration, because it's not fun to work with frustration, you know, in a place of struggle. So it's why it's important when we start a painting to keep that in mind. So when I started the painting, I say, you know, we're going to have to find a way to express that pattern on his cap without, I don't want to start painting all the little details and so on. You know, it's not something I like to do, because it's just not something, it's not the way I do it. But we'll come to that at some point. Okay, where's the here? The here is about the high of that. Okay, it's pretty red at the top. There's the white hair. I have the shadow here. Where's his nose? His nose is pretty high. He has a teeny nose. Like this. I have the chin. I have the... Oh, we have the glasses that are roughly like this. A little mouth. With a little smile, very British. You know, you can tell he's a funny character. So you see, just in few brushwork, I already put some information. You know, remember, as I said, you know, I need to be able to move everything. So what I mean by that is nothing is definitive. You know, I want to make sure I can modify anything at that point. That cap is gonna be something. I kind of fear it. I kind of already see that it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge to paint, but we'll see. I feel like the left side of his face is more of a yellow color, so here I might have made it a bit too light. And then it becomes a bit darker and redder here. We have the chin, which is pretty dark red when it comes to skin here. We have a little piece of flesh here, and we have a strong contrast between the shirt and the neck here. I mean, not the neck, the then we have a dark area here, so maybe we have to move that a little bit higher, like this. Maybe that goes a bit higher as well. We have this dark gray here. Becomes more light here. There's the dark area of his hair, which is about here, I would say. Okay, then we have the skin tone is mostly pink. So I'm going to mix some pink. So you see, when I said no details at the beginning, I'm really talking about no details. It's more red here because we have the contrast on the with the green, the background, that is pretty strong. So let's make it a bit darker here. But then we have some shadow here. We have the nose, as I said, that is pretty high here. We have the little eye. We have that beautiful shade of the glasses. And same thing here, that kind of give that feeling. I'm not painting the yellow of the glass yet because it's too early for me to. It's not only too early, but to save the space, the room for the glasses would be a bit difficult because I don't really know where they're going. Like this, and we have the mouse here. So the mouse is weird because it's falling on both sides, but he still has this little smile. That's going to be something pretty interesting to try to catch. His little eye is somewhere here. Okay, let's see. Now the eye is more here actually, so I have to move it this way. So now I can start putting, because the glasses is really, first of all, it's really visible, and then secondly, it really influences the architecture of the face. So let's see, where is the corner of the, it's somewhere here, so the glass is here, which makes sense regard to what I've done. Then it goes outside like this, and then it goes here. It disappears almost in the shade of the. So when you see something like this, it's hard to believe that at some point it's going to look like a person. But that's where the amount of work we'll put in it will change all that. He's smiling with his eyes, so that's why it's going to be a lot about the eye. The nostril, so either the glasses are much lower or the nostril, because you see that nostril here is here, maybe just higher. Let me double check with that. So if we have that nostril, and I think my nostril here is actually a bit higher than that, and the nose is a bit more darker here. It's a pretty large nose at the as I see, that smile is going to be a challenge to catch, but it's okay. Okay, I'm going to stop here because I feel like I need some drying time on that to come back tomorrow with something more detailed. You see, for me, that's a good starting That's a good start. Because I can, move a lot of things. I might start even to play with those patterns. Okay, it's a pretty fun start, I like it. So we'll work on it tomorrow. Bye bye, guys. Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. We're gonna work on the portrait of Mr. David Hockney. So I started yesterday, and I'm gonna keep on working on it today. So for those patterns, when you have to do a pattern like this, you need to find some sort of a trick. I'm sorry to say, but either we paint one by one, and it's not something I really like. I like to find some sort of a shortcut that's going to look like it, and sometimes people don't understand, but when I get commission works, so a lot of people, people ask me for the price, and I say it depends also on the complexity of the painting, and they might think it's about the complexity of my face or something. No, sometimes it's about like, for example, if you model with a shirt that has a really difficult pattern or something, that can require a lot of work, versus a shirt that's going to be, or a dress that's going to be just a plain color. I remember this little guy, I did this portrait a long time ago, and he went to his closet and came back with one of the weirdest shirts I've ever seen, and with his mom who laughed so hard. I might come back after, I will come back after with some white. So the problem is that in order to do that, I might not be able to finish the painting today. So you see, I'm determining a couple of one of the main stripes, what direction they're moving and so on, and then after I'm just going to fill up between those stripes, just to get the movement of them. Okay, and we have pretty much the same but this way. Oh, as you can tell, this one was not really what I wanted to do. And I was joking about the Control Z on the painting. That's your typical Control Z button that's missing on the brush. I wish I had a Control Z. So we're getting lighter on the top, of course. So, you know, I'm just going to make it almost transparent like this. Okay. So I'm catching up with the shape of the hat because I feel that I'm missing some of the volume. A while ago I was talking about Van Gogh and the yellow. So the yellow color is really tricky because it's a color that is really sensitive to other colors, and if we mix yellow with any kind of black or something, it's going to turn right away into a green. So I'm going to start today with the yellow just to save, to make sure that I won't have any problem mixing that color with other color. You know, I was talking about the glasses of I did a painting of Gerhard Richter, and you clearly see the difference between the British and the German just by their glasses. So for this one, I'm taking a little bit of a darker yellow because the background is a little bit lighter. So, I mean, it's made of light, so I just want to make sure I have something like this. And then the top of the glass is actually, might be too dark, but it's definitely darker. And here it almost comes to a black. And we have the inner rim that is black. And same thing for this one. I feel my black is too strong, but that's okay. Just gonna try to make it a bit gentle, more gentle. Okay, now that I've done that, I can start working on the big architecture again, because I saw a couple of things that bothers me, like the space here I think is a bit different. Definitely I have some light here, so I think I didn't put the eye at the right place, so I'm gonna have to change the position of the eyes. So it's really, you know, I've done now, I'm pretty much at 12, I think, paintings of those famous artists. And I'm getting to a point now where my motivation for it is kind of fading. There's nothing surprising about it, you know, when you work on the series, sometime after, you know, like I know I can get a little bit bored. And the problem is that once I get through a series, quite often it's gone. It's it's part of my past. The here is a bit lower. It's more here. So I think it's really important to understand that and accept it. So I think it will be one of the last of the most wanted, at least for a certain time, for me to work on something else, another project, something more more inspiring, more something that's going to be more motivating for me. I mean, for me, the way it's manifesting, it's pretty simple. I just don't have the energy to really do it anymore. Just I'm looking at it and I'm just like, wow, no, not again. And as soon as I feel this way, I know it's time for me to switch to something else. So I already have some ideas about things I want to work on. That line was too harsh, I saw it yesterday. There's actually some personal project I might work on, because those videos are, it's the goal is to create some videos for my online course, and that doesn't mean I'm really into those paintings. I mean, as I said, I was when I started, and then at some point I just felt like it was time for me to pass on it. Okay, so let's work a little bit on the face now, because I'm turning around and so on. I'm not really sure I want to work much more on that. We have, okay, what's going on here? We have something like this. Then that is pretty much light on, dark on clear. He has, okay, where is the idea? Is here, so we have that pretty much at the vertical of the eye here. And then like this. And then I feel I'm missing some volume here. So yesterday I did it well and I took off some volume, and the volume was actually needed. I feel like the nose is more, okay, where is the nose? The nose is, so I have around the rim of the glass, I have something here, I have a little shadow here, goes down here. I have this strong shade inside the glass. This portrait is more inclined to be easy for almost like a caricature. So I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to go a little way, over the regular likeness, just to push it a little bit on the funny side. Depending on the model, not only necessarily their physical feature, but also their character. I mean, Hockney is someone, Mr. Hockney is someone really he's a little bit like his painting. It's not like Mr. Richter is really serious, and I don't think David Hockney is this way. Sometimes it's good not to take yourself too seriously. Okay, so the tip of the nose is more here, so it should be more like this. And the nostril is here. And actually the eyes are woolly eyed, they're much higher than what I've done yesterday. They're more like this. And then we have the shade of the glass on the skin, which I think is much cooler than the red I was using. So I just had some green in it, and I'm gonna do like this. And it's gonna be joining the rim. So making perfect circle is always a challenge. There's a beautiful painting of Rembrandt where in the background there's a circle just behind his head, and it's difficult to make a perfect circle. I mean, it sounds like all you need is a compass. Yeah, to draw, but after to paint, it's another story, because the brushwork has a certain thickness, and to get that thickness is a bit challenging. Don't forget your water. So to do a circle, you work in and out. You work from the inside of the circle and then from the outside. And you just get closer and closer. It's more red. He has a red undertone skin. Or maybe just a light, but anyway, it doesn't matter, it's more red. So now I'm working mostly with a dry brush, and I'm just gently brushing the surface of the paper, adding some colors. But most of it now it's more and more subtle. It's kind of obvious. Now I'm getting closer to details and so on. Even if, once again, I still can change everything, I still can change any position of things if I feel they're not at the right place. He's been painting for a very long time, and the funny thing is now he's working on his iPad, and he creates some really colorful landscapes. I have an iPad, and I've been working on it, but not at all the way he does. And he used the iPad like a sketchbook, but his styles really match with it. He has something, I would not say it's pop, but he did some kind of a little bit of pop works. He did some beautiful landscapes. The one of the he did a beautiful landscape of the Grand Canyon, and landscapes from England, and a lot of colors, California, and so it's why I like to work with the with his jacket, and all those beautiful colors. I was watching some of the videos yesterday that I'm doing, and you guys have a lot of it's so easy. I mean, it's so much easier to look at the painting from very far distance, because that's pretty much what you're doing, and see what's wrong. When your nose is on the painting, sometimes you just don't see really what's wrong. So it's why I was saying, on purpose, I don't want to spend too much time on those paintings. So maybe the next one actually is going to be a much longer, more detailed portrait. Because, as I said, what I like to do for this kind of work is more to work on it for, a couple of hours, whatever, and then put it away for 1-2 days, work on it for whatever time needed, then put it away and coming back, and so on and so on. So sometimes I can spend, 40, 50 hours, whatever it takes on the painting. And so, of course, on those ones, the challenge was way different. It was more like, I wanted the painting to be fast. So I think the next thing I'm going to paint and I'm going to document is going to be a much longer process. I've done a whole series about when I start working on paper, and I've done a whole series of portraits of people, and I had so much fun because it was not about the likeness. I didn't care. So I'm not saying that all the portraits were really representing perfectly the person I was trying to paint, but I had a lot of fun because it was almost like the Manet's flowers. If you've seen those videos I've done about making some flowers like Manet, there was something really enjoyable about the process. And you have the, not only you have the right, of course you have the right, but you should try sometimes to just paint and just try to have a lot of fun. I think there's always a balance between the fun and the discipline. I mean, I cannot do only fun because sometimes it's hard to justify. What I mean by that is sometimes the fun doesn't create things that are demanding enough. Sometimes I look at the work and I feel like it's too easy, so I don't really feel connected with the work. And sometimes on the other hand, I have some paintings that have a lack of, to me, a lack of freedom, mostly when I work on commission, of course. And it's actually difficult to define who we are into that large number of possibilities. I talked about it a while ago, about the difference between people who do what they can and people who do what they want. And for some artists, they do what they can, because their skills don't allow them to do what they want. And so, most often they don't really make choices. They're more like I won't say a victim, but they're more like doing with what they have. Now you have some other artists who are immensely gifted. We're talking about people like John Singer Sargent, like even if we talk about more older than that, we can talk about people like Manet, who knew really how to paint. And so, geez, everything is completely off. It's so funny. And so it's a challenge to make those decisions about making choices. And sometimes, believe it or not, making choices is sometimes more difficult than being, I won't say a victim, but being more, not in charge or not in totally control of what we do. To take some real example, I'm a huge fan of Basquiat, and I've always been a huge fan of Basquiat, but I would not say that Basquiat is happy. I mean, I think there was a lot of frustration in Basquiat about his own skill, about his own inability to paint classical. And so his response to that was to create those absolutely stunning works of those beautiful paintings, and using that feeling of, I won't say primitivism, because but more some sort of brute, like basic, like something embedded in himself, like So to me, Basquiat was more doing what he could than what he wanted. And now you have people like Andy Warhol, who I think was definitely really, he knew really how to paint. I mean, when you see the early works, I mean, there's a great technique in Warhol's work. You know, I'm talking about the first painting he did. I mean, he was kind of an illustrator, so I think definitely he knew how to paint. So the work were definitely with a different vibe, and I think maybe that's why they could work together, because they were really different but also really complementary. The work they did together, you know, when they were with they had a show with Bruno Bischofberger, I think, and there was something absolutely amazing about those works, because the energy was just like, you know, it was bouncing around from one thing to the other, and you know, there was the discipline of Warhol and discipline of Basquiat. And so I don't know if you know those works. If you don't, they're really worth looking at, because they're absolutely fascinating. So you see, when I was saying about, you know, the rim working from the inside and the outside, you know, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just making sure that those glasses are getting thinner and thinner and more circular. Because I think those glasses are actually, you know, there's some elements like this in painting. You cannot really mess with them that much. Like glasses are one of the things that, if you make them completely off and completely weird and so on, you're going to create some sort of a amateurish thing. Now it depends. If you paint like Alice Neal, that's a different story. But if you paint in a more classical way, like Van Dyck, I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of people nowadays that are able to paint like Van Dyck, but that's another story. Then of course it's glasses needs to be perfect. So I'm going to mix some yellow and some white, and I'm going to try with a small brush to really get into those glasses. No, it's actually, I mean, I'm a former optician, so I used to work in an optical store. Actually, it was my training. I didn't work for that long, but when I went to school, I went to school to become an optician. And so, you know, we knew that there were some glasses that were taking over on the person, and other glasses that were disappearing on the face of people. So I think, you know, it's a choice we make to know if our glasses are gonna, you know, define us, or if they're gonna just be transparent. Definitely, Mr. Hockney has decided that his glasses would make a statement. There was a time where glasses had to be transparent. And now I feel like we're coming back to something where, you know, people like to see their glasses. You know, there was those glasses with no frame. As I was saying, you know, the glasses requires, I mean, when you have to draw such thin lines, it means you have to go from the inside and from the outside. So but once the circle start being really beautiful and closer to what it should be, then it starts really being really pretty. Okay, let's work a little bit on, you know, I'm supposed to work on the mouth as well. I want also to work a little bit on the eyes. So for the eyes, for me, I chose a woody green color. And I feel this one is a bit higher as well. Actually, this one is lower than this one, so I made a mistake. I think my problem is that my glasses are actually not at the right place. Okay, that's not good. I have to redo the glasses, so that means that that thing here is going lower. So you see when I said you need to be able to move everything, that's exactly what I meant. Now I need to move the whole thing by quite a lot. But if I don't, then I won't get his look. I won't get his eyes. So, you know, I can decide to say, okay, you know what, I spend a lot of time on this eye and so on. Yeah, I mostly spend not really good time because I didn't double check. And sometimes it happens, you know, sometimes we get caught into our own mistakes. And it's okay. But I'd rather change things now and get them right than go with something that just doesn't work. So now it makes sense because now the glasses are here. And you know, I might not even have to work more than that. Because sometimes showing your mistake is actually stronger than showing your strengths. Because it takes quite a lot of strength to do that, and the viewer will see it, and the viewer is going to say, wow. So this guy is okay with being wrong. And believe it or not, but it's actually quite a quality to admit we're wrong. I'm sure you know, and I know, people who don't know how to be wrong. They're not the most funny people to be around. So the way we paint is also the way we are as human beings. So I was hoping to finish that painting tonight, but I think it's going to wait until tomorrow because now I have quite a little bit of modification to do. And I said the other day that my daughter, when we made the video, she said, that the Most Wanted series was about painters I really love. And if there's one I really love, that's him. For the reason that he's such a character. And also because his works are magnificent. He's one of the last of that era, with Lucian Freud, Francis Bacon. Okay, where's this? So here it's I'm pretty. I think I'm pretty good. It's funny because it's not his mouth that is smiling; it's his eyes. So let's put a night on this, and I will finish tomorrow morning. There's this little sparking point in his eye. Okay, I'm going to stop for tonight and I will start again tomorrow morning. Okay guys, bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. So let's try to finish this one. So when I start after a day or so of not working on a painting, I think it's important to try to really rethink entirely the work. So what I mean by that is almost like looking at the work with a fresh eye and readjusting everything. You know, thinking that maybe everything is off, so we can reevaluate all the information, the position of things, the So by double checking all those points, it really helps me to make sure that the proportions are right. So whenever you stop a painting and you come back on the painting, try to see it as a brand new fresh work. And that's a great point about leaving the painting or staying away from the painting for a couple of days, because it really helps to refresh our vision, and therefore we will be capable of looking at the painting almost like it's a painting of someone else. You know how it feels when you look at the work of another painter and you see everything that is wrong, and but for the same reason, quite often when we look at our own work, we don't see what's wrong because we're so used to see it that it's almost like we're convinced by our own, I won't call it mistakes, but our own wrong choices, our own, some things not at the right place and so on. So it's great to forget about the work in order to see it with brand new eye, and then everything seems so obvious. I do that quite a lot with my commission portraits. Sometimes they sit in the studio for a couple of months. I mean, a couple of months might be a bit too much, but for a long time sometimes, just because I lost it. And I need that moment of reset in order to really be able to fix or to get closer to, I won't say fix because, things would say that I did something wrong. And it's not like we do something wrong, it's just we do something that is not precise or something that is not accurate. And so, mostly for commission portraits, of course, you cannot, we cannot just say to the client that, he has to, he doesn't look like him, but whatever. So, oh, I had a little stuff in my brush, and now I'm going to have to correct that. So yeah, so the idea of doing something wrong is a little bit, it's like going to school and you have a math problem and you don't find the right solution. The painting is not a math problem, it's something a bit different. So the only way to, it's more a matter of getting closer to the likeness. If it was not for commissioned portrait or something, like you have someone expecting something, you can do whatever you want, it belongs to you. But of course, when we work if you do the portrait of someone famous and your friends or whoever come to your studio, look at the painting and don't recognize that famous person, it can be a harsh feeling. It can be something difficult to accept. But it's the truth, sometimes we do things and they're not accurate. So in order to find that that accuracy or the likeness, sometimes we need a little I won't say help, but something that is going to allow us to see the work and see what we're missing. And so to take some distance is really a good thing to do. Make sure that, yes. I'm using another computer to record, so I'm not really used to it. So you see, sometimes like I have to move things pretty, and the thing is, it's not because I'm moving the thing that I'm 100% certain that it's at the right location now. So I'm still in a place where I can still say, you know what, maybe it's not the right thing. So I'm doing that, but if it has to be changed again, I will do it. I mean, I'm at the place now with that painting where, I'm thinking I'm almost, almost done, so I don't want to overdo it anymore. Okay, I'm gonna do a dry brush with just some color because there's some highlights here. That's what's gonna give us that little smile. I know it has another name, but to smirk or something like this, I think so. Maybe I can play just a tiny bit with the cap and put some some white in it. I still think I have a little bit of a problem between the distance between the nose and the mouth, so I'm going to try to shorten the nose a tiny bit. I think my glasses are too large here. But, it's no big deal. I might just leave it this way. So the old saying, like if you do one tree and it can make the forest. It's a little bit of the thing I'm going to try to do with the cap, which is basically to create a pattern. That's going to, do the whole thing. I remember seeing a painting of Diego Rivera, the museum in San Francisco, and it's it's 2 people or 3 people, I don't remember exactly. What I remember is the basket. There was a basket, and he paints the basket like every single detail, every little piece of the baskets, and so on. And I think it's great, but it's way too much for me, because I think the subject became the basket, and it's okay. But for me, the subject is more the model, the face. So I don't want to take away too much by sometimes overpainting things. Here's some device here, because I guess he's a bit deaf now, or he has some hearing problems. My dad had the same, so I know a little bit about it. So, either I paint it or not. I'm not going to paint it. I don't think that really matters. And, there's sometimes you have to make decisions on things like this. Like, not everything is okay to paint. Sometimes it just, you just make things nicer for the model, not to paint everything. On the other hand, I had a story about 2 years ago. I was working with a gallerist, interior designer, gallerist. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Anybody can say the interior designer or gallerist. There's actually more diploma to be interior designer than gallerist. Gallerist is just like, as long as you own the place, you're the gallerist. She wanted me to do the portrait of a lady, and this lady was beautiful for the way she was, but that interior designer decided to make her look like an Instagram model or something. So she put her face through an app, face app or something like this, and then she showed me the photo, and I said, yeah, it doesn't look like her at all anymore. And she said, yeah, but she still look not young enough and so on. So she, but there's some, you can do the parameter on the app, you can do it more or less. And she decided to go full Monty. And that woman was she's maybe 45, 50 years old. Turned out to look like an 18 years old model and top model. And so I didn't want to do the painting, but she really insisted, and and so I said, okay, fine, if you want to. And I did the painting, and it's one of my worst paintings ever. And I don't think that lady showed the painting in her house, because if people come to her house, they're going to say, who's that? Is it your niece or something? No, it's me. Oh. So don't, paint people like they are. I mean, I'm not saying to paint everything, but, getting the likeness of the model, to me, is the most important thing. And the truth is everybody is beautiful. It's just that interior designer who had quite a little bit of work on herself as well, just thought it was better to look like someone you're not. Okay, I think I'm almost done. I'm going to use my mirror to double check. I'm going to touch up a little bit the glasses. You see, that's the problem when I say working from the inside to the outside and so on, is that to draw some really tiny line like this. And what I don't like on top of that is when it's obvious that the line has been done with exactly what I'm doing right now, with a teeny brush and just, precisely done and so on. So it's not something I really enjoy, so I'm really trying to be gentle on this one, so it doesn't look like that, but more natural, more incorporated in the portrait. Even here, I have a little work to do here. Okay. Okay, let's look in the mirror. So you know now, used to it, I have a mirror. And so it's exactly what I was saying about, you know, when you leave your work for a while in the studio, in the corner of the studio, and then you just look at it, and it's almost like you're watching the painting for the first time. The mirror gives you that as well, but it's more instantaneous. The problem is that if you use too much the mirror, you're going to get used to the image in the mirror, and then it's not going to work anymore. It only works if you do it just once in a while. I feel a little bit like I have a problem here with that color. It seems it's not saturated enough. It's a bit too gray regards to the rest of the skin tone, who are more saturated. So I'm just gonna put some more saturated color on top of it, and it's gonna do it. Okay, I think we're good. We're gonna greet Mr. David Hockney in the collection of the Most Wanted. Oh, that's what happens when you have some color on your finger. Let's just do a little tiny work on the ear. I think Mr. David Hockney is still smoking cigarette. I mean, for people from Europe, it's not that surprising. Now that we live in the US, you know, it's almost like nobody smokes anymore, which is great. I mean, I know there's still smokers in the US, but the great thing is that you can go to a lot of places and nobody smokes. You know, the truth is that for people who don't smoke, the smell can be really bad. Okay, so let's untape him from the wall. There are some nice colors in this one. Is Mr. Hockney? Oh, I just saw something I didn't fix. You see, it's just sometimes there's things I don't even remember or see. It's no big deal, but it's just that shade here. You see, I'm going to show you. Here, you see the shade goes there, and doesn't make any sense in the tie. I wanted to do it, and then I got caught into something else. So I'm going to mix some orange and red to make a really vibrant red. I need some orange in it. This tie is a bit bigger than what I've done, but that's okay. I don't think he's going to be upset with me about this tie. And then I'm going to work a little bit on that shade, which I think is not as green, but maybe more grayish, bluish. So if the undertone is green, then I just have to put some, not pink of course, but kind of. To desaturate the color. You see, that's something I really like what's going on here. I just want to point that before I close the movie. There's something, one of my favorite thing in painting. You come from dark to light to dark. And just in that area, you have to make those things where you go from a darker color to a lighter color and so on. And it's really something I think fascinating to paint, but mostly to see. And you know, if you, it's a little bit like what's going on here, you know, where you have the lighter color, then you go to dark and then you go to light. But this dark is still in the light. So you really have to find the right colorimetry, contrast, tone, and so on to make it work. Anyway, now let's do it again. Okay, have a good day and see you soon, guys.